Well, hello everyone. Here to show you the coloring right here. As you say, a Matthew First computer. It is talk to you about. It's like a story about you say from what I remember, and then of course, what more like maybe what I would like to share. Of course, is talking about what computers it was. Is ever since I was young, of course, that they had computers up there at the school that you can use, and of course they were not like the computers that we would normally have like nowadays that it's like with computers or say smartphones or anything then kind of like this or anything like that, but mainly the kind you say that I think that IBMs. It's like if most of us are familiar with, like you say, is the models for IBM. And I really don't know if maybe IBM, or say if it's Compaq, or any Apple's, like any of those type brands it is, but anyway, but with the IBM, and of course a few other computers. But I remember that those kind that they would have like what you call the cartridge, the disc cartridges that you would put into like a little slot. It is to play a game. It was, and of course that whenever I was in school, of course that was a lot of times that like I mentioned before, that a lot of times during my free time that I wanted to get on a computer. It was and play. A few games on it. It is you play a game. A lot of times it was games, and I didn't. And of course, at like elementary schools, I think back in like in 1992, even in the library, I don't recall them ever having a computer where you can get on the internet, and then the research. Nowadays I think that they have it to where most places that they have it, that they got the wireless, and of course with the 3G networks and stuff like that. But anyway, but so far as talk about is like for first computer it was, is that with me that whenever I was a kid that knowing about what computers it was, like spending quite a bit of time on it, is knowing about that maybe a few buttons that like pushing, and of course in the games that they had you playing on the computer it was, and I a couple of times tell them I did not have one at home. It was maybe anything that you can do with your hands, more likely knowing about anything creative of course is what like working with. And then but on the end you got right here is a desk. If this was like my school desk right here, is knowing about, it's like type of thing which I can go ahead and draw out. It's like a little bit what I'm talking about. It's like you got right here is a desk, and then you got the desk right here, but then of course with that desk that you have it to where that the computer will be like what you call mounted in position. And then I'm not talking about what you call as like anything on the back. It is like maybe something that may already be around, or may maybe working on it. I guess with most of the time with nowadays, it's like with any companies that they'll probably think they think about almost every day or every year about what's the next thing that's going to be coming out. You say on the stores, on the store shelves. It is. It's like, especially for the holidays and Black Friday holidays. It is. It's like really that we're not going to be talking about. It's like the stuff that of course that we've already been dealing with, but new products and stuff. And if there was anybody would probably ask, it's like what haven't we tried yet? And I'm like, well, what are we missing? What we probably tried everything, and I would probably say that I don't know if thought about what it would be like to work for like an electronics store. I even thought about a few other places that I want to check out, and just knowing about that if I want to get into maybe working for an electronics store, is knowing about the type of things that maybe I would like to see come to the shelves. It is. And more likely, like I mentioned on the other video I made, is like the portable entertainment. It is like anything related to like a portable TV. It is. And I can maybe think of a list between 1 through 10. It is about to maybe I can maybe think of one. It's like maybe that they've already got like what you call digital pens, but let's just say maybe a radio. More likely that you could probably think about. It's like with a radio, it's like say a radio, like a service tower. It's like a radio tower that gets signal service within about 100 or 200 miles in the range or so of say interstate highway. It is. But let's talk about with most computers. It is that the way that our brain and of course our minds work is knowing about that a type of computer it is is that the kind, say with the supercomputers, is the kind that are built, you say knowing about that, yeah, not really the kind that are built. Say they know about that hey, try this on. This is going to help you put your socks on or anything like that. Or, try this on. If you want a drink, if you want a Dr. Pepper or a slice, or you say, or lemon lime or anything like that, just push the button with your eye, look at the screen, and then, just put the helmet on, and then, read the screen, and then select Pepsi or Dr. Pepper or whatever you call it, and then, the order will be here in about 5 minutes or whatever it is. But I was talking about, like, with any type of computer, you could probably think about that, anything that maybe you would like for it to do, so far as that, have that ability to do what you like to do, anything that, so far as, whatever that comes to your mind about, whatever you would like to invent. And a lot of times, that whenever I was in school, it didn't come until I was in high school. People asked me, "What would you like to invent one of these days?" And a lot of times my reasons were always due to the fact because that I don't have the material, I don't have the right location or whatever, just to talk about it, or discuss it. But on the hand too, to knowing about with my feedback, I guess I should say make a joke about it, is that knowing about that, yeah, that really, anything that more likely is free, it would probably have to be defective. It would probably have to be broken. But in order for it to be free, it's like people will probably think about that, anything that breaks so you don't know how to use it. Well, I'll go and give it to somebody that would be able to teach me the basics, or, just give it, get another one, not too happy with it, whatever it is. And a lot of times that we could probably think about that with most companies that, say that, I guess that's not all true, that whenever you buy something, if you're not very happy with it, you can go ahead and bring it back. But on the other hand too, that knowing about with me, that whenever I buy stuff, that I try to take the time to learn how to use it. And with most of those things is knowing about, we would probably think about, the things that have not even been invented yet. It's like talking about, again, and more likely that there's always an idea maybe that you can probably come up with, that you can maybe be a customer and maybe suggest that that to a company about something that could be invented. It is making a phone call, you say, on the computer, or if it's watching TV on the computer, whatever it is. It's like whenever I was taking care of a telephone bill, and of course cable bill later on, that more likely it's like knowing about the type of channel that you would maybe like to see coming to the cable packages maybe in the next 5 years from now. And more likely that I can maybe think about, besides arts and entertainment, it's like maybe maybe the puzzle me up channel or anything like that, anything that's related to putting together pieces, say of art, as the mosaic exploration or anything like that. But or my list can probably go on about maybe ideas, but on the other hand too, that knowing about that that those decisions are not confirmed by the manager or whoever, that I guess whatever that they had the money, I guess, to be able to come up with. But other than that, if this was my work desk, and knowing about it's like the calculator, which I kind of call, it's like back then, nearly over 10 years ago, it was the only affordable computer that I had, and then of course it was battery operated. And we could probably think about that, that this right here, more likely, of course, I got the e-reader, which most of us have probably seen it. That if there would be like what you call a TV, maybe the size of this, maybe a computer or whatever, by the year 2020 it is, maybe 2025 it is, and knowing about what's going to be on the shelves, and just knowing about that, yeah, that really that we say pay a lot of money for it. It's like knowing about that, yeah, if there is a way to be able to continue using it without having to worry about the fact about if a product's been discontinued. But on the other hand too, to knowing about with any advice for anybody, if you're gonna buy something from the store, you might as well use it. And knowing about that yeah, with school, if we done our homework right, it's like I remember when I was in school, it's like maybe like I told like maybe a million times, or so, that maybe I talk about the same thing a million times or whatever, that talk about with our homework, is knowing about that, yeah, I may have been what you call one of those people that had, you say, the smallest handwriting. It is talk about, what does this product work for? It's like for PC or for Mac. It's a Macintosh, or it's like I'm say, I'll go ahead and use another example. Yeah, emulate, and something like that. Emulate or conversion or anything like that. Conversion or anything like that. Any of those software programs that more likely you could probably think about using the first computer. But on the other hand, too, that knowing about that, I don't recommend that, any kid, to be taking something without somebody's permission, to taking it to school for show and tell and just knowing about that. Yeah, it can do this, it can do that, but one thing, of course, I don't even have to worry about, going to the bathroom anymore, because I can go ahead and just take care of business, is, just by, wiping my, but other than that, it's talking about, it's like, besides the story about, it's like a kid, if you're going to bring something from home, then a lot of times they say they got the rules about that. It's like, don't bring no box cutters or any potato slicers to school, because really you don't need to be presenting those to the students. It is, but if there's anything really that more likely, if you probably think about anything that a kid maybe could bring from home, of course, would be, it's like maybe a marker like this. It's like knowing about show the class what you can do. If anything, a book. I'm like, yeah, I guess a book is always optional. It's they bring a book, a calculator that maybe has a solar powered light on the front, anything like that. But more likely they say nothing nothing inappropriate, and of course nothing dangerous, huh? Nothing dangerous. But other than that, it's talking about, it's like so far with Matthew's first computer, it's talking about, it's like nothing dangerous. But other than that, it's talking about this, like, would say, it was like the eyes right here, is knowing about that, anything that maybe they could be controlled by your eye movement or anything like that. Typical science, it is. Say with chemistry, it is. It's like anything that you think that you may like to have. It's like you want to have whenever you're a kid, and just thinking about that you have about almost everything except the fact about that, that you don't get paid to use this stuff in a lot of ways. You just like wondering, I'm like, how come? I'm like, I learned how to use this, how come I can't, how come I'm not even getting, how come I'm not making any no money, just to learn how to use it. But on the other hand, too, that they could probably think about, it's like if you say, do the math right, come up with ideas, maybe for the new next adventure, whatever, enter a contest, whatever it is. And of course, it's like, just a show. It's like, really, the best type of screensaver that you think that would look good on, say, on a business computer, it is. More likely, it's possible that, they say people take your ideas, may take time or whatever, and effort, maybe you send a lot of trouble. It is, as you know, it's talking about, it's like for the creative ideas. It's talking about, it's like for the Matthew's first computer coloring.